Exposure by Noctevoire. The black circle met Harris's gaze as his fingers wound through the mug handle. Tick. He rolled it in his palm, feeling along the cracks of the ceramic. Pale orange dust flaked from its surface, glowing against his rimy skin. Tick. He peered into its mouth. A veneer of mold spread across the alabaster expanse, where the frost had preserved bacteria from a long time past. Tick, tick. From under a nearby stack of musty newspapers, he procured a small cork circle, beginning to rot from exposure. Delicately, he laid it on a coffee table, just inside the light of the porch window. Tick. I see the cold's finally making you senile, old man. Harris gently set down the mug, aligning it perfectly to the center of the coaster. You know we couldn't heat that thing up if we wanted to, right? The circle might as well be painted on. Forgive me, Harford. He chuckled, noticing the woman's smirk. Just taking a trip down memory lane is all. Well, that seems to be all you've been doing lately, remarked Harford. When's the last time you went out with Everett for a drop? Hell, when's the last time you talked to Collins? She needs it, especially after her father. She stopped. Harris sighed. I'm trying my best, kiddo. The door creaked open with a familiar blast of frosty air and copious swearing. Christ, it's cold as shit, Everett shivered. Collins, get your ass in here. The young girl shuffled into view, dragging the week's supply behind her. This shit's heavy, you know, Collins grumbled. As the cargo made its way inside the cabin, Everett forced the door shut against the howling wind. Put that shit in the dining room for tonight, she instructed, sliding off her gloves. Harford raised her hand. I'll help. As the two began to drag the haul out of the room, Everett coughed loudly. I swear, the temperature in this room keeps getting lower and lower. When did absolute zero become a fucking suggestion? Harris waited until the girls had passed through the doorway. As the door closed, he turned and frowned. Come on now. Everett rolled her eyes. Yeah. Don't fucking swear in front of the kid. Newsflash, Harris. There's nobody around here to hear a damn word she says, much less get offended by it. Well, I'm here and I don't like it. Tick. So you're in charge now, huh? And here I thought this was a commune. Tick, tick. I'm just trying to keep everything civil, Everett. And a shit ton of good that's been doing. She slammed her hand on the table, knocking the mug onto the side. Collins and I have been shoveling your workload ever since Clancy was done in. When the fuck do you intend on growing a pair and... Tick, 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 tick. Shit, hissed Harris, as he stood up from his seat and positioned himself next to the front door. Everett made her way to the closet, synchronizing like clockwork. Leave it to the Dossie to interrupt a perfectly good argument, she grumbled. We were playing with fire making that much noise. Harris breathed. You didn't leave tracks here, did you? How careless do you think we are? Harford burst into the room, clutching her ice pick. Is that the counter? Well, it sure ain't no grandfather clock, Harris replied, sharply. He unclipped the walkie-talkie from his belt and raised it to his shoulder. Collins, give us a readout. Tick, 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 tick. 8 CPS. The young girl's voice spoke through the receiver. 9, 10 CPS. Slowly, Everett removed the rifle from the closet. Stabilizing at 10. As the winter gale whistled beneath the floorboards, frost began to form on Harris's eyes as he stood like a statue perched against the door. 8 CPS. 6. 3. A collective sigh of relief resounded from the occupants of the cabin. Probably just a deer or something, Harris muttered. Yeah, probably, Harford affirmed. We're back at point 5. All clear, Collins declared. As Everett returned the firearm to its position, the young girl came bounding through the doorway. I'm getting good at this now, aren't I? She announced. Hell yeah, you are, Harford grinned. Good job, kiddo. Clancy, I mean. Your father would be proud. Everett scowled. Don't congratulate her. She knows damn well to alert us the moment the meter goes above 2 counts. Nearly got us killed. Hey, Harris spoke sharply. Give the kid a break. I'll give out all the breaks I want when we're done unloading this drop. Flares? Tick. The group stared incredulously at the sparse contents of the supply crate. Everett folded her arms. That's all there was. Harris shook his head. You've got to be joking. No rations? Collins muttered. No ammo? Tick, tick. Why would they send us this? They have to know those things seek heat, right? Oh, they know. They just stopped giving a shit. Only a matter of time before they realize it was easier to cut us off than waste precious jet fuel every week. Tick, tick. Harris shook his head. No. There's got to be a better reason why. What other explanation do you want, Harris? They just handed us a choice. No, not a choice. An ultimatum. You can die a slow death in the wasteland, or take a quick way out. This is their way of showing mercy. Tick. No, that's not right. So, this is the last one? This is it, Collins. No more airdrops, no more support. We fend for ourselves now, and as long as that's the case, I'm in charge. Tick, tick. Now just wait a second. Harris shut bolt upright, shaking a thin layer of rime off of his coat. We don't know any of that for sure. For all we know, another group could have gotten the rest before we did. Or animals. Or those things. There are thousands of other possibilities we haven't considered. If we go out there without food or ammo, if the temperature keeps dropping, we'll be dead without question. And how the fuck would you know, Harris? You've been doing nothing but sitting on your arse staring at goddamn coffee mugs for the past week, while we're the ones keeping us alive. Seething, Everett kicked the flare box across the flagstone floor. Clancy's dead. He's not coming back. So listen the fuck up. Here's what's going to happen. Collins and I saw a downed skiff a few kilometers north. We're going to head out and see if we can find any crates left inside. And in the meantime, you can make a nice meal out of those flares and fulfill that fucking death wish of yours. Tick. The words hung in the stale air, penetrating every inch of the cabin. For a moment, Harris's gaze locked onto the toppled orange mug, searching the blackness of the circles on its side, searching for some sort of direction. In the end, he found himself frozen, unable to even raise his head. Collins, who had been on the verge of tears, ran into the adjacent room and slammed the door. Collins, wait! Orford cried out. She turned to face Everett. Harris could be right. This could just be a mistake. We don't have enough supplies to last a hike that long. If you want to jump in his grave as well, suit yourself, Everett spat. Collins, get the fuck back here. We're going. The whistle of the squall had long faded into creak of ancient wood and the tick of the Geiger counter. Harris sat against the door, huddling in his ice-dusted coat as he watched the fading sunlight refracted through the glass. Hey, old man. Orford knelt down next to the exhausted man and put her hand on his shoulder. I'm going out back to see Clancy. Feel free to come if you want. The sun hung in the sienna sky like a pendulum, faintly illuminating the snow-covered grave at Orford's feet. A shard of ceramic plate crested on top, crudely inscribed were the names of Collins's father. Clancy didn't deserve to go like that, he said, shutting the door and stepping into the snow. God, no one does. Orford smiled. He carried Collins 3 kilometers with half his skin melted off. Didn't even bat an eye when he handed her to us. Stubborn son of a bitch. A tear crystallized in her eye. For once, there was pure silence across the landscape. Did you have anyone before, old man? Before all this chaos happened? Harris closed his eyes. A long time ago, yeah. But they're long gone now. Tick. We can't let this happen to her, she said softly. Even if Everett is right, we can't just sit back and let the winter decide our fate for us. We won't. As long as there are others out there like us, we can survive as long as we need. In the distance, a cry rang out. Tick, tick. The duo sprang to their feet and rushed to the front face of the cabin. From over the hill, the silhouettes of Collins and Everett appeared. Behind them was a trail of red. "Fuck! Fuck!" Everett yelled. Collins was leaned against her, missing a leg and most of her blood. Hawford and Harris rushed to the other half of their party. "What the hell happened?" Hawford demanded, hoisting the girl's free arm over her shoulder. "One of them got to her. The crash site was crawling with them. Someone left a fire in there. Fuck!" Tick, tick. The group herded the wounded Collins into the cabin and slammed the door. "Did any of them follow you?" "No, maybe, I don't know. I stopped looking behind us half an hour ago. I don't think the blood trail will help, though. They can't be too far." Tick. Hawford laid the girl on the floor beside the table. As Harris lifted her intact leg, the glint of the mug caught his eye, the black circle facing downwards as the blood pooled around it. Harris held his hand to Collins's head. "Her body temperature's dropping. Bandaging won't stop the blood." Outside, the breeze began to whistle once more, but now was joined by another sound. "A plane!" Hawford exclaimed. "Everett, that's a fucking plane!" "Is this the bit where I'll say, 'Well, I'll be damned,' and stop praising sunshine and rainbows?" Everett chuckled hoarsely. "It doesn't matter much anyway, the girl's good as dead." Harris stared in disbelief. "You're going to just let her die," he exclaimed. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Hawford run into the dining room. Tick, tick, tick. "I obviously don't want her dead, but what the fuck else are we gonna do? Last I checked, there wasn't any styptic or anesthetic lying around. She isn't recovering from that on her own." Harris's eyes widened as Hawford charged forth from the doorway with 2 flares in hand. "There's a way," she proclaimed. Tick, tick, tick. "You're going to signal it," he said. "Hawford, wait." "There's enough time. If we can get her on that plane, it can take her somewhere where she can be treated." The rifle bolt clicked into place as Everett emerged from behind them. "The fuck you will," she stated smoothly. "Fuck you!" Hawford cried. "If we do nothing, then what does that make us? What will Clancy have died for?" Everett looped an icy finger around the trigger. "If you pop that flare, they'll be over us in minutes. You could kill all of us." Hawford inhaled with a shudder. "That's a choice I'm willing to make." Tick, tick. "I'm not giving you a choice, sweetheart." As Hawford turned and swung open the door, Harris reached for the mug. "I'm giving you a fucking ultimatum." Tick. Harris lobbed the mug towards Everett's head. As it hit its target, the rifle's blast nearly drowned out the sound of the orange ceramic shattering into infinite shards. Everett and Hawford fell to the ground in perfect synchrony. As the whistling wind morphed into a howl, splinters of the fading sun danced across the combined pools of blood like an aurora. Tick, tick, tick. Harris fell to his knees. In the glow of the lit flare, you could see a fragment of what remained somehow intact. Although not much remained of the black circle, the heat was still enough to reveal the image underneath of a portrait. A father and his family, long lost to the wintry expanse. Tick, 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 tick. As the last rays fell below the horizon, and the steady rumble of the cargo plane dissipated, all that Harris could hear was the buzz of 1,000 frozen hells.